Chapter 25 to 30. Right now me and Nala are flying in the air, heading north towards the planet's capital city. Now I'm sure you're wondering what I asked that soldier. Well, I'm in a good mood, so I'll inform you guys. Underscore underscore underscore. Underscore underscore underscore. We are currently still inside the Milky Way galaxy, which is great because I don't know anything outside of the galaxy. We are in Sector 120, no idea where that correlates to Earth, Namek, or Planet Vegeta. But when I questioned the soldier about the Galactic Patrol though, I was lucky enough to find out that they actually have a base in this sector. I have no idea where it's at, and sadly, I can't just destroy a bunch of planets to get their attention. Because while I'm confident of being able to defeat the entire Galactic Patrol, if that angel wannabe Meruz interferes, then I won't be able to even escape. Anyway, I still plan to go to the Galactic Patrol, because the Galactic Patrol should have a map of almost the entire Milky Way, and that will be really helpful. Don't know how I'm going to get it though, but we can think about the details later. To get even more detailed about where we are in some random galactic kingdom. Don't even remember the name, they have nothing but weaklings on this vassal planet, and the capital planet is probably equally pathetic as well. Underscore underscore underscore. Underscore underscore underscore. Sage, wait a second, does Nala know how to drive a spaceship? Sage dash Nala, do you know how to drive a spaceship? Nala dash no, I thought you knew. Don't tell me neither of us knows how to drive a spaceship? And this is what happens when you don't plan things out. Anyway, we can't do anything about that in a short amount of time, and we got something more important to do. Finally arriving at the capital, the first thing I noticed is it's far bigger than the first city, and the walls surrounding the city are taller as well. Hovering above it, I start scanning the city for something that looks like a palace or a very tall building. Finding 3 such places, I use my key sense to find the one with the highest PL. Sage, found you, I hope. Flying towards the tallest building, I land on top of it, allowing Nala to get off me. When I scanned the building with my key, I sensed thousands of ki, and I didn't feel like wasting my time killing a bunch of weaklings. Sage dash, hey Nala, can you make us invisible again? Nala dash, to think that you would actually ask for my help, it must be a miracle. Turning towards her, I see her trying not to laugh, which makes me irritated. Sage dash, do you think I need your help with something so easy? I just didn't want to waste time on useless things. Nala dash, okay, chill, I was just teasing you. After Nala said that, she started writing her runes, and a second later we are now invisible to everyone else but each other. Walking into the roof entrance, I notice guards right before the door, seeing that I quickly flash behind them and knock them out. Continuing through the building, I knock out any guard I have to and try to avoid everyone else. Finally arriving before what I assume is the room/office of the person in charge of this planet, Nala deactivates the runes. Kicking the door open, I get a view of what I assume is a nasty giant slug trying to have sex, and the unfortunate party member is practically a human except for their 2 antennas coming out of their forehead. The moment I busted the door down, the slug turned towards the door and started yelling angrily. Boss dash, I told you that NO1 is allowed during this time. If IT isn't something important, I'll kill you myself. After yelling, he finally had enough time to realize who was at the door. He looked confused for a second before grabbing the woman by her neck and then crushing her, throwing her away like some trash. Sitting up from the bed, he looks at us, mainly at Nala. Boss dash, for you to get all the way to my office, you must be talented, but you overestimate yourself. Boss dash, for getting this far I will award. First, I'll beat you half to death, then I will cut off your limbs. Don't worry, I will leave the best for last. Pausing, he starts looking at Nala lustfully, which starts to make me angry. Boss dash, then I take that girl right there and rape her right in front of you, over and over again. And when I'm done with her, I will give her to my men to play with. Ha 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 ha. Underscore underscore underscore. Underscore underscore underscore. The moment Sage kicked the door down, we saw some disgusting slug creature. It was probably the ugliest creature I have come across. Watching him have sex with the woman made me feel kinda bad for her, but she seemed to be enjoying it, so it's not my problem. After the door opened, he started yelling at us, and then calmed down. After he got a good look at us, he started staring at me with his eyes, making me feel uncomfortable. Killing the woman he was sleeping with, he started talking about torturing, which kinda made me mad even though I know he couldn't even harm Sage. Sage is like a little brother to me, maybe a brother who has problems with social interactions and can't express his feelings properly. Nonetheless, I still see him as a little brother, so hearing someone talk badly about him makes me mad. And then, he started talking about doing all these things to me, which made me not only disgusted at his appearance, but his personality as well. I was about to ask Sage to just get what we needed, kill him and leave. But suddenly the building started shaking intensely. Looking over to Sage, I was about to ask him what was going on when I saw his face. He was smiling, but not the happy kind of smile. No, that smile could never be compared to happiness. I was frightened by that smile, shivering from fear. It reminded me of the first time I saw him. At that time when I first laid my eyes on him, I only saw a monster wishing to destroy everything in its path. Nala, come on Nala, this is the good old prideful Sage, the person you see as a little brother. You can't be scared of him, and still, call yourself his elder sister. Encouraging myself, I was going to reach out to Sage when he talked to me. Sage, hey Nala, can you wait outside for me? Hearing him, I knew he was going to do something terrible to him. I wanted to say no and try to calm him down, but my instincts were telling me to just wait for him outside. While I was debating with myself whether to listen to him, he spoke again. This time he sounded impatient. Sage, are going to leave Nala? Nala, why yes, I am going. Make sure to be quick. Walking out of the room, I closed the door, putting up a rune of silence so nobody heard anything including me. Boss, why is the building shaking? Is there an earthquake? Watching the slug, I find it amusing that he doesn't even know he is about to die. Calming down, I regain control of my key, stopping it from destroying the entire city. Boss, it stopped. Now back to you two. Oh, it seems the little girl has escaped and left you behind. Doesn't matter, she couldn't have left the building yet, so all I have to do is deal with you and then have my men find her. After he says all that, he reaches his arm forward trying to grab me, but before he could, his arm falls to the ground. It took a second for him to realize that he had lost his arm, but the moment he did, he started screaming like a little bitch. Boss, my arm, sobbing. Seeing him cry made me feel disappointed. Sage, this is pathetic. If he is going to cry from just his arm getting cut off, I'll break his mind before I break his body. Walking closer to him, I bring my right hand down, cutting off his other arm. And no, I didn't touch that pathetic excuse of a living being. I created a keyblade. Sadly, with my current key control, I can't create a keyblade that would be helpful in fights, but I can create a weak keyblade, and that's good enough for what I'm about to do. Boss, my arms. Sage, shut up. Now that slug remembered my presence, he asked in between his moans of pain. Boss, what do you want? Sage, tell me, where is the spaceport? And what is the best spaceship you have? Boss, the spaceport is north of the city, and the best spaceship I have is the deluxe luxury superstars. Sage, good, give me the keys and something that'll give me high authority. Saying that, he starts moving to his desk and bites onto one of his drawers. He puts his face in there and brings out a golden and silver key card. Setting it on the desk, he opens another drawer and pulls out a small controller. Walking over to the desk, I grab a random piece of paper and use that to pick up the items. Wrapping them in the paper, I put them in one of my many pockets. Boss, there you go. Is there anything else you need? Sage, no. After saying that, I saw his eyes glow with hope. Just when he thought he might live, I crushed his hope, making him fall into despair and giving me a smile even bigger than before. Sage, but I will enjoy my time torturing you. Underscore. Sage, that was a new experience. Smiling at my handiwork, the slug is gone and all that remains are slices of his body scattered everywhere. Walking out of the room, I spot Nala standing at the side. Walking over to her, I hand her the keycard and the controller. Seeing this, she gets confused before she reaches her hand out, almost touching them with her hands. Quickly stopping her, she looks at me even more confused. Nala, why did you stop me from touching it? Were you just showing me? Sage, no, these two things are our ticket out of this place, and the reason I stopped you from touching them is because they were in his mouth before. Why do you think they were wrapped in some paper? Hearing what I said, she hurriedly backed away from me. Sage, come on, just cleanse these so we can hold them properly. With that, she wrote the rune and it cleansed the two objects along with the rest of my body. Sage, I already cleaned myself today. Nala, but you were covered in green blood. Sage, oh, I forgot about that. Sage, anyways, I know where our new spaceship is, so let's go. With our little adventure done, me and Nala went back to the roof before flying to the north of the city. A minute later, we see a giant building that has hundreds, if not thousands of spaceships exiting and entering every minute. Figuring this is the right place, I landed with Nala getting off. Nala, seeing we are here, breaks the concealment rune, making us visible. Walking into the spaceport, we see a huge and busy place with so many different species, but it made sense, considering where we are. After walking around for several minutes, we finally found a reception area. Turning towards Nala, we start staring at each other, before she sighs. Handing her the two objects from the slug, I follow behind her as she slithers towards the receptionist. Receptionist, what you need, young lady? Nala, me and my friend forgot where we stored our spaceship and we require assistance in finding it. Receptionist, that's fine, do you have an ID card or spaceport receipt? Nala, yes I do, here you go. Handing over the silver and gold key card to the receptionist, he scans the card before going wide-eyed. He starts stuttering while apologizing. Receptionist, madam PL, please forgive my rudeness. Here is your card back, your spaceship is in Hangar 7, madam. Nala, can you tell me where Hangar 7 is, I seem to have forgotten. Receptionist, of course madam, you take a left, then a right, and then you should see a group of guards blocking the way into hangars 1 to 100. With that, Nala slithers away, with me following right behind her, following the directions the receptionist gave us. We are now standing in front of several people guarding a door. Soldier, stop, this area is for authorized personnel only. If you are not authorized, please turn back. Nala slithers forward and hands the leading guard the key card, scanning the key card again. The soldier returned the card and showed more respect than before. Soldier, sorry for the inconvenience, madam. With that, the other guards make a way, allowing us to pass through. Walking for a couple of minutes, we find Hangar 7. Using the keycard, we open the door. Walking inside, we look around, and the only thing we find is a big spaceship. Sage, that's our spaceship now. Alright, Nala, you can go explore the spaceship. I want to go get my space pod. Nala, alright, just don't take too long. Seeing Nala slither towards the spaceship, I go to the giant hangar doors and open them enough for me to fly through. Turning on my scouter, I fly in the direction where my space pod should be. 3 minutes later, I find what looks like a base, not wanting to waste my time. I blow a hole through the roof and quickly fly to my space pod. Once there, I pick it up and blast another hole right above me, flying away with my space pod. Back at the hangar, I open the doors more so I can fit the space pod through. Setting the space pod down, I walk up into the spaceship, following Nala's key. Finding her sitting in the pilot's seat, I stood behind her. Sage, what have you found so far? Nala, well, I haven't explored the entire spaceship yet, but one thing I have found out is that we won't need a pilot. We can just select a planet on the map and the spaceship will do everything else. Sage, that's good, anything else? Nala, the spaceship has basic intelligence. When you ask something out loud, the spaceship will answer you or give you different options. Curious about how this works, I ask the spaceship to store my space pod. Sage, put space pod into storage. Putting space pod into storage. Hearing that, I fly back outside, and guess what? My space pod is gone. Flying back inside, I ask Nala when we depart. Sage, since we have everything ready, when do we leave? Nala, whenever we want. Sage, let's go now then, we have nothing to do here anyways. Nala, then where do we go? Sage, I don't care. Nala, spaceship, give us a random destination and launch. Destination acquired. Checking spaceship. Spaceship 100%. Commencing launch. And with that, the hangar doors start opening, and the spaceship's engine must have turned on because the spaceship shook for a second. Slowly flying out of the hangar, it started going a little faster until we made it out of the planet's atmosphere. And then we shot off at incredible speed, flying into the void of space, not even knowing what was in store for us. On a deserted planet in a single star system, you could hear what sounded like thunder happening consecutively, but the weird thing is there was no storm. Flying across the deserted planet was Sage, but he looked like a young teenager, no longer an 8-year-old child. He is currently standing at a height of 5 feet and 4 inches, and weighing a whopping 150 kg or 331 pounds. Currently, he is flying around the planet training, while wearing what looked like big and heavy training clothes. Punching, kicking, and flashing around, he was fighting an enemy that he had imagined. Several minutes later, Sage stops fighting and lands while panting and sweating. Seconds later a pink glow appears in front of Sage, before a beautiful girl appears out of nowhere, standing taller than Sage at a height of 6 feet, but her full length is 20 feet from her head to tail. Nala - I have cooked some food on the ship, so come and eat. Make sure to take a shower first or no food. After sternly telling Sage, the area around her glowed again, before she disappeared. Underscore underscore underscore. Underscore underscore underscore. Sage ha, it's been a little bit over 3.5 years since we left Nala's home planet, and agonizingly nothing interesting has happened at all. No strong enemy, no secrets found, nothing. The most interesting thing that has happened during our adventure has been the pathetic attempts of space pirates trying to rob us. But because of that we have made a lot of money, so I guess there's that. Getting out of the shower I grab a towel and wrap it around my waist, walking to the kitchen I grab a plate of food and sit down in the living room next to Nala. 5 minutes later I set the empty plate down, and walk back to my room to put some pants on. Putting pants on I hover over my bed in a meditation pose and start meditating. Sage, my power has grown a lot, but not as much as I would like. And the crazy thing is that even with my high power I can't transform into a Super Saiyan. I guess that I can't just transform on power alone. Done meditating, I land and leave my room. Walking to the pilot's seat I sit down and set our new destination to the Galactic Patrol Base. Sage - set destination to Galactic Patrol Base. Destination set, time to arrive 1 month, 3 days, 5 hours. Nala - where did you set the destination to Sage? Sage - to the Galactic Patrol Base in the sector. Nala - why? I thought you said they were a bunch of weaklings that would waste your time. Sage - they are a bunch of weaklings, but they have been around for millions of years, so I wanted to get a map of the galaxy from them. Plus, I'm sure they have a lot of other knowledgeable stuff you would like. Nala - why didn't you say so earlier? Let's go. Seeing Nala get excited makes my mood improve a little. Getting up I make my way to my room, informing Nala before going to sleep. Sage - I'm going to sleep. Nala - good night. Underscore underscore underscore. Underscore underscore underscore. Waiting for our spaceship to finish docking, I go to the storage facility. Opening the door I get greeted by several tied-up space pirates. They attacked us on our way to our destination, and Nala decided to keep them and turn them into the Galactic Patrol. She said it gets us into their good books, and since I don't have good social skills I just followed her advice. Sage - get the hell up. Follow me, anyone who doesn't gets to be my punching bag. Immediately after I say that they stand or sit up straight, walking back out with them following me, I walk towards the airlock and see Nala there too. She is wearing her combat gear, that she calls it, which is really just some dark clothes with a bunch of runes engraved on them. Sage - Nala, I don't think it is going to be so dangerous. Nala - you say that, but how many times have I been in a dangerous situation because of you? Hearing her accusing me of stuff I definitely did, I ignored her. I mean, over the course of 3 years I haven't faced any danger, but the same couldn't be said for Nala. Now she wasn't in any life-threatening situation because I was always there, but she has been in several fights. I mean, she had to learn at least basic self-defense even if she wasn't a fighter. Docking complete, airlock opening. With the airlock opening, we were met with groups of galactic patrolmen walking around the hangar and other workers. Walking out of the spaceship, we look for the entrance into the actual base. Finding it a little bit later, we walk into it, and immediately all the noise from the hangar vanishes. Looking around, Nala finds a receptionist. Following her we make our way towards the lady wearing the Galactic Patrol symbol. Lady - how may I help you, Mrs.? Nala - we came here to drop off some space pirates that attacked us. They are behind us. The lady, hearing Nala, looks behind us, and gets shocked by the group behind us. Confused about why she is shocked, Nala asks her. Nala - is there something wrong? Lady - no Mrs. It's just the group you have caught is a high-level bounty target. They call themselves the Wet Bandits, and they have stolen more than 400 million zenny worth of goods, and that's not even including the spaceships as well. Nala - really? They were pretty weak though? Sage - told you, Nala, they are just a group of weaklings if they think these pirates were considered a problem. Turning back to the lady, she seemed so shocked hearing Nala that she didn't even follow our conversation. Annoyed by the lady's lack of response, I questioned her about the pirates. Sage - so how much are their bounties worth? Hearing my aggressive speech seemed to have snapped her out of shock as she answered me back. Lady - sorry about that, and their bounties are worth 100 million zenny. Nala - oh, that's not that much, I thought it would have been a lot. Sage, just put them into a cell, I don't feel like wasting time doing paperwork. Lady, why yes, if you could wait here for a minute I will inform someone to take them off your hands. Underscore. After they took the pirates, we asked the lady about the Milky Way galaxy map, but apparently, only the HQ has it. Seeing as we would be going to the Galactic Patrol's HQ earlier than I wished, I asked the lady about the coordinates to the HQ and luckily she was allowed to give them to us. Which was good because it saved possible destruction of the base. Now back on the ship, me and Nala go to the bridge and input the coordinates into the navigation system. Calculating. Destination confirmed. Would you like the hyper engine activated for this trip? Hearing the term hyper engine gets both of us confused, asking the ship for more information. Sage, what is the hyper engine? Hyper engine is used when the destination is outside of the galactic sector spaceship is currently in. Hearing that makes me assume it would take years without a hyper engine. Curious, I ask the ship to compare the time needed for an inactive hyper engine and an active hyper engine. Sage, what is the difference between the two for the time needed to reach the destination? With an inactive hyper engine it would take approximately 136 years, 5 months, 13 days, 6 hours. With an active hyper engine it would take approximately 4 months, 2 days, 2 hours. Astonished at the time difference, I enable the hyper engine, and the moment I do, we immediately shoot off. We are going so fast that every minute I can see stars in the distance, leaving my eyesight. Getting up from the captain's seat I walk to my room to meditate, because I can't train for the next 4 months sadly. Arrival at destination in 1 hour. Hearing the announcement, I continue eating while Nala gets up and goes to her room, probably to get ready. About an hour later, our spaceship turns off the hyper engine, and in the distance I can see the Galactic Patrol HQ. Shortly after gazing at the floating HQ base, one of the buttons starts blinking. Transmission incoming. Would you like to accept? Sage, accept. The moment after I accept a screen appears in front of me with a creature I have never seen on it. Abra, this is Patrolman Abra reporting from Galactic Patrol HQ. Please state your reason for wanting to dock at HQ. Sage, we have criminals on board that I want to drop off. Abra, understood. Please head to docking hangar 23, we will be there waiting for you. Grabbing the manual controls for the spaceship, I start navigating around the HQ, which for reference looks like a spinning top. Finding the correct hangar after a few minutes of flying around I set the ship to automatic. The next moment I hear Nala coming out of her room. Turning around, I am greeted by a woman who looks like she is going on a tourist trip. Wearing a big hat with sunglasses, a backpack, and a camera device. Looking at how excited she is I just sigh and leave her be, not bothering to tell her how ridiculous she looks. Docking complete. Opening airlock. Walking towards the storage room I grab a rope and start dragging several criminals. The moment I walk out of the airlock, I use my key to sense the entire HQ. After sensing the entire place I can confirm there is no one even near my strength, but I have no idea if Meruz is here. Sage, I don't know whether Meruz has to use normal key or not when his power is sealed. Well, it wouldn't make a difference anyway, I wouldn't be able to sense his specific key as I have never met him and I'm sure he could hide all of his key if he wanted to. Completely hiding from me would be easy for him. Coming to terms that there is practically nothing I can do about Meruz, I just forgot about it. Walking down the ramp to where Nala is, I see she is having a conversation with a patrolman. Nala ah. There he is, and he brought the criminals as well. Patrolman I see, we will take those guys off your hand, and thank you for turning them in. Nodding at them I give them the rope that's tied to the criminals. Before they leave I ask about Jocko, because while I don't know him, he is the only one who might have the authority to give me the map of the universe, plus he is easily scared so I can threaten him. Sage, do you know where I can find Jocko? Patrolman, you mean the elite patrolman Jocko? If you do, he is currently off duty, so I don't know where he is. But I would recommend checking his sleeping cabin first. Sage, where is his cabin at? Patrolman, take a left out of the hangar and keep walking, you should see an elevator that takes you to the recreational floor. After that, just keep walking until you see the door with Jaco's name on it. Nodding at him, me and Nala follow the directions we were given, with Nala taking pictures of everything she sees. We make a left, get into the elevator, and a few minutes later, we are now standing in front of Jaco's room, sensing for key inside the room. Sage, only one key signature, hopefully, it's him. Nala knocks on the door, and after nothing happens, she knocks again. Getting irritated, I grab the handle of the door and forcefully open the door, probably breaking it in the process, but it's not my door, so who cares? Nala-HAAA, why are you so impatient? You couldn't wait until he opened the door? Sage-he was taking too long, and besides, why should I wait for him? He should feel lucky that I even wasted my time interacting with him. Nala-and there you go with your pride again, always getting in the way. You can't even have a normal conversation with other people because of it, let alone make friends. Sage-TSK. Why do I even need to have friends? I already have you. Nala, hearing me say that, blushes before she starts acting awkward. But her tail seems to be excited, with it moving around everywhere. Sage-dealing with you is already hard enough, I don't want to have another nuisance. And the moment I say that, her happy mood vanishes, and she becomes quiet before she explodes out in anger, yelling at me. Nala-so, I'm the nuisance? All you do is train, meditate, eat, and sleep. You never clean up after yourself, so tell me, how am I the nuisance, Sage? While Nala is trying to strangle me with her tail, which feels more like a rough scarf. Jocko finally appears, looking confused and a little scared, probably at the situation he's currently looking at. Sage-Nala, can you get off of me? Jocko is here. Nala-nope, I am done listening to your nonsense. Sage-if you stay like this, you won't be able to explore the HQ and find out all of the secrets. After saying that, she stops yelling, before she gets down off of me and fixes her appearance, before ignoring my existence and presenting herself to Jocko. Nala-nice to meet you, Jocko, my name is Nala and I have heard a lot of things about you. Jocko-I it's nice to meet you, and Nala, and who is the other person? Grabbing her hand that is held out, he shakes it, greeting her as well. Nala-what do you mean it's just me? Jocko-the person standing next to you. Nala-there is no one standing next to me. Saying that, Jocko became more terrified as she kept squeezing his hand harder, making him have an expression filled with pain. Jocko-why yes, I understand, I must have been seeing things. Nala-I have come here to talk with you, so could I come inside? Jocko-why yes, of course. Nala slithers inside hearing his answer, and when I was about to follow behind her, she used her tail to close the door. Trying to open the door, I noticed I couldn't even budge it. Seeing this, I figured she must have written runes on the door. Sighing, I just leave and decide to wander around the HQ, seeing if I can find anything interesting. While walking around the HQ, I found a couple of interesting spots. The first would be the hyperbolic time chamber that's on the training grounds, the second would be the warp hangar, which allows for instantly warping into any bases across the galaxy. Lastly would be the cafeteria, which is where I am currently at, and I must say the food here is outstanding. Finishing my 10th plate of food, I look at the clock. Sage, it's only been 1 hour since I have explored this place, and knowing Nala, she is going to take hours talking with Jocko. HAAA, since there is nothing to do, I might as well go into the H.T.C. and train for a while. Getting up, I start walking back to the spaceship to get my training clothes. After retrieving my clothes, I head to the training grounds. Standing in front of the H.T.C., I open the door and walk in. Inside, I put my training clothes on. While they may not look like much, they have been engraved with runes by Nala countless times, as even now, they make it difficult to move around in. Setting my other pants on one of the beds, I notice there are some clothes on the other bed. A little surprised there was someone else here, I tried to sense their ki, failing to sense any signs of life, even when my instincts are telling me there is someone in here with me. Getting cautious, I put my guard up, walking out into the infinite white space. The moment I step on the ground, my body feels super heavy, making it very hard for me to even fly. Feeling the difficulty of just standing, I smile. Meru's, what's someone as strong as you doing here? The moment I hear someone's voice coming from behind me, my instincts start blaring in my head. Turning around as quickly as I can, which wasn't that fast, I spot a purple galactic patrolman who is about as tall as me and has white hair. Getting into a fighting stance, because I know who this is. Sage Maris. To think that I would run into him so quickly. Standing in a fighting position while staring at Meru's seemed to make him a little awkward as he put his hands up and tried to act not threatening. Meru's, calm down, child, if I wanted to harm you I would have already. Now can you answer my first question? Knowing he was correct, I reluctantly got out of my fighting position. Sage-TSK. I could say the same to you, and for your information, I am visiting this place to get the map of the galaxy, which I'm sure you guys have. Smiling at my honest answer, Meru's closes the distance between us and continues to ask questions. Meru's, why do you want the map of the galaxy? It's something that is quite valuable, so we won't give it to just anyone. Sage dash, what do you think I would do with the map of the galaxy, other than using it for directions? Meruz dash, I guess you're right. Walking past me, Meruz walks onto the white ground before meditating. Seeing as he isn't talking anymore, I start training too. Sage, it's difficult to move currently, so I won't be able to do intense training effectively and efficiently. Looks like it's time for basic exercise first. Underscore underscore underscore. Underscore underscore underscore. I was surprised to find someone powerful in the Galactic Patrol HQ, and a child at that. He has some pretty great instincts too, but looking at him, he seems to resemble the race called Saiyan, just different. Pretending to meditate, I watch him start training. Several hours later, he got exhausted and left the H.T.C. Thinking he was finished with his training, I started to meditate. About 1 hour later, he came back, but this time, he was carrying a sack, and from the smell, it must be food. Watching him eat, I must say I am impressed by the amount his body is capable of storing. After he finished eating, he went back to train, and while it was slight, I noticed improvements in his power. This went on for about 1 month in the H.T.C., and compared to when he first started, he has completely adapted, and he is now training again, but this time far more intense. Meruz, this boy is very talented, his drive for power is intense. But his control over his ki is quite low, it must be, because of how chaotic it is. Maybe I should give him some teaching? After thinking for a while, I decided to give him some advice to help with his ki control. Walking toward the boy, he stops training and looks at me, which I think is an expression of annoyance. Underscore underscore underscore. Underscore underscore underscore. I have been training for a little bit over a week, which is about 1 month in the H.T.C. I had to leave and inform Nala that we would be staying here for a while. To my surprise, she was quite excited after I asked her why she gave me a response. Nala dash, while talking with Jocko, he said that he has access to a lot of knowledge that has been obtained by the Galactic Patrol. And so hearing that I gave him some suggestions to give me access to it, and after a few reasons why he should give it to me, I finally have access. Although she said suggestions, I'm pretty sure she probably threatened Jocko, but then again, that was his problem to deal with, not mine. With that over, I just went back to training while that weirdo Meruz constantly was staring at me. He probably thought I wouldn't sense him, but I don't know how I wouldn't with him doing it so obviously. While training, I saw Meruz walk in my direction. I stopped training and looked at him in annoyance that he interrupted me. Sage dash, why interrupt my training? Meru dash, well, I noticed that your ki was chaotic and you had poor control over it, and since I had nothing to do, I wanted to help you so you don't accidentally hurt someone in the future. Hearing his answer surprised me because I know how powerful Meruz really is, and while he's still a trainee angel, he is still an angel nonetheless. Getting ki training from him would be truly helpful, but I don't expect him to do that for free. What does he want? Sage dash mf. So what do you want in return? If it's to join the group of weaklings you hang around with, then I refuse. Meruz dash asterisk cough asterisk, no, that's not what I had in mind, it was something you would probably enjoy doing as well. Sage dash, oh, then what is it? Meruz dash, whenever you leave this place I would like you to go and defeat King Cold, and if possible capture him so we can imprison him. Hearing talk about wanting King Cold dead made me smile, thinking about the battle me and Cold will have. Sage dash, I agree. So start teaching me about ki control. Sitting down in front of Meruz, I waited for him to gather his thoughts before he starts explaining the concept of ki. Meruz dash, ki is also known as latent energy or fighting power, which directly translates as life force. This force is a tangible energy inside every living being, with its major focus being in the center of the body. By drawing it out, an individual is able to manipulate it and use it outside the body. Ki can be used for many different techniques. Because there are physical limits to the strength of the body itself, it is necessary to increase one's ki to overcome this barrier and become stronger. Sage dash, yes, I already understand that. What I want to know is how to improve my control ki. Meruz dash, I was getting to that, be patient. As I was saying, ki is life force, so it's a part of your very being. Tell me how much you understand about your ki. Sage dash, what kind of question is that? Of course I understand what my ki is, it's naturally chaotic and unruly. Hearing my answer, Meruz seems amused. Meruz dash, that may be true, but have you bothered to understand why it's like that? Maybe the reason it's like that is just because you don't understand your ki? Hearing him, I start to think about all the time I have meditated and I have never bothered to understand more about my ki. Seiji is probably onto something. I just wanted to train, and here comes more meditating. Deciding to try his advice, I sit down and start meditating, but this time instead of trying to control my ki, I try to understand my ki. Maruz, seeing the boy meditating, walks to the exit and leaves the HTC. Underscore underscore underscore. Underscore underscore underscore. Opening my eyes, the first thing I felt was the distinct difference in control over my ki than before. Before I couldn't constantly use my ki to sense my surroundings because of my poor control, but now keeping it active was as easy as breathing. Amazed at the difference in ki control, I start controlling tens of different sized ki spheres and make them float around my body. Sage, I'm controlling 44 different sized ki balls, that's more than double than I previously could control. Dissipating the ki spheres, I start walking to the bed. Changing my clothes, I was about to leave when my stomach growled and I started feeling intense hunger. Turning to the sack of food, I hurriedly started eating any food I could grab out of the sack. No longer hungry, I leave the empty sack and walk out with my training clothes in hand. Going to the spaceship, I put my clothes away and found Nala when I was about to leave. Sage, how long has it been? Nala, it's been about a month since the last time I saw you. But over that time it seems like we have both gained a lot. Sage, yeah, what have you learned from Jocko? Nala, I have learned a lot of things, and I have managed to get the map of the galaxy from him. But there was something I read from recent reports, Planet Vegeta, the home of your race has been destroyed. After saying that, she looked at me carefully, probably expecting me to feel depressed or sad about that. Sage, yeah, I know, it probably said it was destroyed by a meteor, but it was actually by Frieza. Nala, you already knew about the destruction of your home planet. Sage, yep, but it doesn't matter, those Saiyans were just a bunch of stupid, prideful fools who thought they were above everyone else. Nala, so they were just like you? I guess them being destroyed wasn't such a bad thing after all. The universe doesn't need more people like you. Sage, don't compare me to those weaklings. Ignoring her, I went to the storage room to get my space pod. Yes, it has been repaired and upgraded, and it is ready for use. Walking out carrying the space pod, Nala questions me. Nala, what are you going to use the space pod for? Sage, I'm going to another sector using the warp hangar. I'm planning to fight someone quite powerful. And I can't protect you and fight that guy at the same time. Nala, oh my, to think you would actually protect me from someone, I must be hearing things. Leaving the spaceship, not wanting to listen to her teasing, I continue walking to the warp hangar while Nala follows me. Walking up to the person in control of the warping stations. Sage, hey, I need to warp to the sector of the Frost Demon's home planet. The weird-looking patrol woman gets scared when I mention the term Frost Demon. Patrol woman, why would you go there? Don't you know that place is terrible and deadly? And even if I wanted to let you go there, only people who are Galactic Patrol can use these warp stations. Maruz, he is doing an errand for me, Melina, and so can you let it slide? Hearing that voice, I turn around and see Maruz walking toward us, while Nala gets startled by him suddenly appearing behind her. Sage, TSK, stop appearing behind people or you will be known as a creep. And hurry up, I want to go beat those frost demons and warm up before I face cold. Melina, Maruz. But it's a rule that only members of the Galactic Patrol can use those warp stations. Maruz, please Melina, I will take the blame for it if someone finds out. So can you help me? Melina, ha. Fine, but only this once, okay Maruz. Maruz smiles at her before thanking her. Seeing that I got the okay, I start walking to one of the smaller warps used for spaceships. Setting my space pod down in the warp area, I was about to get in before Nala hugs me from behind. Nala, be careful Sage, I know you're powerful, but that doesn't mean you can't take things slowly and cautiously. Sage, you know me, cautious isn't something I'm good at. Nala lets go of my body and I turn around and see her smile at me. I enjoy seeing her happy. Of course, I would rather die than ever tell her that, my pride won't let me. Getting into the space pod, I see Maruz and Nala wave at me. Smirking, I look over to Melina and give her a nod. Seeing my signal, she pushes a button and all around the space pod, space starts to slowly warp and twist before I am hit with a nauseous feeling almost making me want to throw up. Holding it in, I look back through the window and no longer is Maruz or Nala standing in front of me. Sage, it seems I have successfully entered Frost Demon territory. If you want to support me, check out my Patreon at https://www.patreon.com/Kayashin. I tend to polls that decide important plot stuff in my P at Trian. Many thanks to my awesome patrons. Ben Phillips, Yami Tancho, Harold's Martinsons. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to the channel. I'll be here until next time.